So a quick intro. This is literally like the beginning. Today we are having a little chat with this guy, Alan Seawright. Alan, thank you for taking the time to be here.
Hi, Internet.
Some people may recognize this face because he might very well pop up in your YouTube feed, and we'll get to that in a second. Alan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, buddy. It's good to see you. It's been too long.
Yeah.
I've never been grilled before.
Well,
I'm excited to experience the heat.
We met pretty much at the end of the audio podcast, maybe even after I finished it.
It might have been after you finished it that we finally met. I mean, I'd been listening to you from day one.
Oh, that's frightening. Sorry for wasting so much of your time.
Hey, I learned at least 3 things. So
well, that was worth the 150 hours, 168 hours, I think it was, to get to those 3 things.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think the first time we did anything, well, certainly together, was the Team Utah project. And was that 17 or 18? Do you remember?
That was, I feel like it was 17 that we did Team Utah.
So I was still doing the show up until at least December 2017. I just did an episode with Gallardo, and
oh sure,
I kind of did this little thing where I played back old episodes of Tony, nice. and I, because I had to dig them up, they were files from 2017. Anyway, so
yeah,
and I think the reason we both kind of got sucked into the Team Utah project was you can't get too close to Sam Mestman without running across Final Cut Pro on your desktop at some point, huh?
He's one of those people that just has a high personal gravity.
How'd you meet Sam?
You get sucked into his orbit. I met Sam. I was putting together a film, and I had heard about this little, box he'd put together that would allow you to work as a team in Final Cut, and I was very excited about that. And so I sought him out at NAB. This would have been 2014 or 2015. I don't remember. But ended up going up to saw him on the floor and had a conversation, and then ended up going up to, they had a demo suite where they were, running demos with their very early version of the LumaForge box. And I met Patrick Southern there as well. But we had a good long conversation about Final Cut, and that movie fell apart. And so we never bought one. But I ended up later, after Sam had mostly stepped down from LumaForge, I ended up working there for a while. So
yeah, that was late. That was late 2019 that you worked there.
19. Yep.
Hey, so quick, let me jump in on a conversation here. We'll get back to Alan. So this week in our donor segment, nobody decided they wanted to support the show. And that's okay. That's up to you guys. I would like to think that you think that what we're doing here is valuable to some degree. Now, I will take this moment here to say, here is the QR code. And the way it works is you take a picture of it, you scan it, you go in, you can donate. And the highest donor, the supporter of the show, so we don't have to have ads, gets to be the executive producer, which is kind of fun. So this week I'm the executive producer because I'm the only one putting any money into this. I will say this, I got a very interesting email this week from our friend Bill Davis at Apple. So, hey, Bill, if you're watching. He sent me a little email this week. I put it on Twitter, and I said, hello from Apple was the subject header. And he says, hey, Chris, hope you're having a great week. He also asked if I wanted to talk, and I laid out some ground rules about how I want to do that. But anyway, I also asked Bill, hey, Bill, do you want to support the show? So maybe he'll end up being a producer of the show one week. Let's get back to Alan's interview. I had such fun talking to Alan. Alan, if you're watching, thanks for doing this. But let's finish up the interview with Alan. Did you go back to Utah right before COVID lockdown or because of COVID lockdown?
It was because of COVID lockdown. Yeah, it's LumaForge had a rough go with COVID, obviously, because they were selling an on-premises, solution,
Right.
and nobody wanted those anymore. Everybody wanted a cloud something. And so I was let go very early. And then when I was let go, everybody still had hiring freezes. And like it got back to my wife and I met at school in Utah. We had never intended to stay here, really. We love it here, but we had always intended to be in Southern California. And we finished school in 2008. And it was like, well, we can be poor in Utah or we can be poor in Southern California. It's easier to be poor in Utah.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened in 2020. I was like, well, all the possible work has gone away.
Yeah.
So I can be unemployed in Utah or I can be unemployed in California. We can be paying, I think it was $2,800 a month for a 2-bedroom townhouse with 3 kids and a dog, or we can be paying $0 for a 3,000 square foot basement in my in-laws' basement. And so we did that.
That's a bargain, actually. 3,000 square feet is
was
over
incredible.
twice the size of my whole house.
I'm so grateful that, like many boomers, they decided to buy a larger house once all their kids were gone.
Right.
It doesn't make any logical sense until you have a family of 5 having to live in your basement, which worked out great.
Yeah, it never does. That's kind of sad. But so the movie fell through, and your intention was full-time, filmmaker. And then, and frankly, at the beginning of COVID, we were hiring you. How many jobs do you do for Slice? I think you, 2 or 3?
I was working so I got to say, our show, you are indirectly responsible for our show. Because you guys kept me and my family fed while I was launching cinema therapy before it really took off. Because we started the show in April, like right after COVID lockdowns. I mean, like 2 weeks after, basically, we started shooting. And then I think you guys ended up hiring me in June or something. And I was never like an official employee. I was just a contractor, but I did 4 or 5 shows for you guys. Like I did a bunch of stuff. I was working for you guys on and off for nearly a year. It was like 9 or 10 months.
Yeah. And I remember at one point I called you up and I said, hey, we got another little edit. Can you get started next week? And you were like, well, I'm kind of a little busy. I'm like, who's turning down work in 2020?
Doing
what the hell are you doing?
What are you talking about?
So tell me how cinema therapy started.
Yeah. So my co-host is a licensed marriage and family therapist, has been for going on 2 decades now. We were actually college roommates. The very short version of the story is he moved into my apartment and had made a short film, and I thought it was really funny. And a couple months later, I pitched him an idea for a sequel. Like, you should make this next. It would be great. And he was like, oh, I don't have time to do that, but you know a lot about movies. Why don't you just do it? And that was the beginning of my filmmaking career.
Oh, wow.
And then he goes off and gets his master's degree and gets his licensure and everything. And he's raising his family. And I, go off into the world of film, and I'm making movies and mostly commercials and stuff, mostly not actually working on films, but a fair amount of films that came through Utah. I was a, crew and stuff. And we'd always wanted to like do some stuff together, and just like stars had never aligned. And he ended up calling me in October of 2019. He was living in, I want to say, Cambodia at the time. he and his family they just like traveled around because he's a therapist. He was just on Zoom. Like he just got on Zoom before everyone else did during lockdown, but he'd get up at like 2 a.m. and do therapy until, 6 or whatever.
To go to the beach.
And then go to the beach. And like, that was his life for a bit. But he called me and had the idea for cinema therapy. And he pitched me, and he got about 3 sentences in to the pitch of like, well, it's you and me, and we're talking about movies and mental health. And I think maybe the title of the show is Cinema Therapy. And I was just like, okay, stop, shut up. I know exactly what this is.
Good pitch.
I know how to make the show. I know what the show should be. And, you know, then it was just a question of when are we going to do it? And then lockdown happened and I call him up. He had come back to the States at that point.
Wow.
He was living in southern Utah.
Like St. George area?
I call him up. Yeah, St. George area. So I call him up and I'm like, hey, we need to get on this right now because, you know, people are stuck at home watching movies all
going
day,
crazy,
having mental health crises, like going nuts because the world is nuts, a disaster. So we have to get on this because this is only going to last like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
So we shot our very first episode and got that out.
When did you do that?
We shot it. We shot our first couple ones. It was just Jono talking. And then we did 3 or 4 that were the 2 of us. And we would basically script it to seem like we were on a Zoom call and chatting with each other. But we literally just filmed it separately. And we would have handoffs where we're like throwing to each other.
Interesting.
And then we would just
I've never seen any of those episodes.
Yeah, those ones aren't good. So we did that for about a month. And then in mid-May, so still, you know, right in the thick of lockdown, we got together with our mutual friend, Brad Olson, director of Off the Tracks. He's our director of photography on the show. And the 3 of us got together in a basement. We had all, you know, taken our COVID tests to make sure that we weren't like spreading or anything.
So stupid.
And we got together and shot 4, 5 or 6 episodes
in one
of the
like
show
in a day?
in one day in a room together.
Oh wow.
And that was our first time shooting together. And we shot all of them. And our very last episode that we shot that very first day was our Inside Out episode.
That one blew up, right?
7 months later exploded and is what drove the growth of the channel and the huge number of subscribers that we got and all of that.
Okay, so
But we, for that entire year, we were just getting together, you know, one day every now and then and shooting as many episodes as we could. We didn't really have a schedule. Like, I very much believed in it and I knew it was going to grow. We saw very, very slow incremental growth until right around Thanksgiving of 2020. So we'd been doing it for about 7 months. And in a 10-day period, for about 10 days, our views and subscribers doubled every day.
Wow.
And so, you know, this kept happening. And by like days 8 and 9, we're looking at it. And I'm like, if this trajectory continues, you know, in a week's time, we're going to be doing 100 million views a day and we're going to be making $7 million a year. Is that our life now?
Wow. So,
and obviously it did not turn out to be that.
So I'm torn at this point in this conversation because there's so much I want to talk to you. One, I want to talk to you about the fact that I know that you do use Final Cut because every once in a while you'll turn to the camera, you'll do your commercial hits there. I want to talk to you about YouTube success.
Sure.
Maybe off camera we could talk numbers. Maybe you don't want to talk about that.
Well, I'm happy to.
Well,
talk
I don't
about
want to. I don't want you to divulge your your 401k and your 1099 or whatever those numbers. All your.
I'm not going to talk about my personal.
That's what I want to find out.
Talk about what the business. I'm happy to talk about what the business.
No,
makes.
And then I'm also very curious. Just as I've been on YouTube since forever, but
sure.
But this is my first attempt at like doing a thing, and you know the growth is horrible. I think there's like I posted something a couple of weeks ago, and it was like I think I had like 114 subscribers, and I said, I'm not sure if YouTube gives out a plaque at 115 subscribers, but if they do, I'm about to get one.
They do. That one's made out of mud and sticks.
A cuneiform. So anyway, yeah. I'm very curious about that. But actually, let's talk about that briefly. You said it was a very slow organic growth. What were those days like?
Okay, so yeah, early on we were kind of running a mid 2010s playbook. In terms of like we were posting on Facebook groups and you know, trying to reach out to like subreddits and stuff that were talking about each individual movie.
Oh, interesting.
When we would do an episode, and we'd get little bumps here and there of like, you know, 150 people would come in and watch or something. But for the most part, like we were doing that because we were just desperate to get views. I knew that what we needed was to have, you know, organic algorithmic growth, right? Like the YouTube algorithm needed to figure out who we were and who to put our stuff in front of. And there are like, the algorithm is getting better and better at that, which in a lot of ways is making the world worse and worse, but you know, it is what it is. And it took a while for the algorithm to really like get enough of a data set of like what we were saying and how we were saying it and who was responding to it. Right. And it, for those first several months, we were kind of just a flat line. We were doing maybe 1,000 views a week. Maybe not even that. And it was very, very flat. We released an episode over the summer talking about like Aragorn and toxic masculinity. And that one did a little bit of breakout. Like the algorithm knew, oh, I can push this to Lord of the Rings fans. And we started getting, you know, more of those people coming in, but it still wasn't, you know, it wasn't like tens of thousands of views. We went from 1,000 to like 1,500. And then the next week we were doing 1,700. And then the next week it was like 1,850, you know, so it was growth and it was measurable and chartable, but that started in August. So from August until November, we were growing and it was starting to, like there was a curve to the growth, but it was not
a
like
curve,
it wasn't
a curve,
this,
but not a hockey
right?
stick.
Yeah, it was a nearly flat curve that like you could see a little, it was going up.
Right.
And so I was doing that math in October and early November. In fact, we had a shoot in early November. And on like November 13th or something, we had just hit 3,000 subscribers.
Oh, that's cool.
And I had run the numbers based on the growth curve that we had. And I was like, okay, if this continues, if we don't screw this up by Christmas of next year, Christmas of 2021,
so 13 months. So
yeah, from then. So, you know, a total of about 20 odd months, right? 20, 21 months. The channel will be doing enough views and we will have enough subscribers that we can start paying ourselves a bit of a salary, and we might be able to start hiring an editor to cut episodes. Because at that point I was doing literally everything. Like I wasn't shooting the show. Bradley Olson was doing that basically as a favor. And then
he's a good guy.
I was doing everything. I was doing the editing. I was designing and building thumbnails. Then I handed that off to my wife. You know, I was doing all the transcription myself because this was in the pre-automated transcription days. It wasn't very good back then. We still actually have a transcriptionist, this fabulous woman in Ireland, and she does all of our closed captions and inserts a bunch of jokes and makes fun of us and stuff. It's great.
Fun.
But yeah, you know, so we looked at that and I'm like, yeah, 13 months from now, this will be kind of an almost sustainable business. And literally 2 weeks later, hockey stick. And like 3 weeks after that day, we had a day where we had 900,000 views and 33,000 subscribers in one day.
That's really exciting. That's a great story. So let's talk about another facet of the conversation with Alan. And I think you and I talked about this that summer, or I guess it was probably summer 21, because you had already had the Inside Out success. But at some point there, we were talking and I'm like, how do you get past all the copyright issues? Because you're playing big hunks of the movies.
Oh yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we vetted this with two different copyright lawyers, and we hired them for a good long time to, you know, kind of vet our episodes as we were doing them. This was as soon as we started making money. I had looked into it myself, and I was pretty sure we were safe. And then as soon as we were bringing money in, we hired, you know, big guns to make sure that I wasn't totally, you know, out to lunch.
Right.
But yeah, we get dinged on basically every upload that we do. So the YouTube automated system will see copyrighted stuff, music and images, and it'll do the little copyright warning, and then we go in and there's a whole process where you can dispute, and then the copyright holder can come back and say, no, we still own this, and then you have to appeal that decision. And then at that point, once you've appealed, they either have to issue a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown or just let it go. And 99% of the time they just let it go. It's more than 99% of the time. It's very, very rare that we have a takedown notice.
So how much?
And those I was just going to say, we've also disputed those. And at that point, they have to actually literally sue you in federal court.
Oh, wow.
And no one's ever sued us before. So I think we're pretty well protected.
So how much time do you spend? You say basically every post you do, it's like, okay, we posted a new video. Now it's time to do all the legal stuff. How much time do you think that takes you?
We have a producer who does it for us now, which is great. Because again, it used to all be me. The system is fairly automated, and we have all of our responses canned at this point. We've gotten the legalese from our lawyers to just put into the text fields that you got to do. For most videos, it's 5 minutes of work to do that. We do upload basically all of our episodes 2 weeks in advance of when they go live, just so that we can go through that whole process before the video comes out, to ensure that once we go live, we're actually making the money instead of
the lawyers
or
Paramount.
Yeah. Although it's almost never the actual film companies. It's always some weird licensing company that owns the rights to the music in Brazil or something. They're like, oh, we own this. It's like, you didn't create that.
Interesting. So yeah, have you been following the battles that what is it? It's like Doctors of Rock or Professors of Rock and Rick Beato have been having? Do you know those two channels?
Oh, I'm aware of Rick Beato. I haven't heard about any. What's the kerfuffle?
They get Rick had, like yourself, has a lawyer on like full-time retainer, and he has to fight this stuff all the time. He's been to Congress. He's argued that the record companies, in his case, not the movie companies, they're doing stuff it's not right. It doesn't fit the copyright rules and whatnot, because he's commenting and teaching and fair use, whatever. I'm just glad the biggest complaint people have about this show is that I talk more than the guests too often. And I apologize sincerely for that. I was just editing Tony Gallardo's episode. I was like, Fenwick, you got to shut up. I literally think I talked more than Tony. It's like, why do people, I can understand why I'm having a hard time getting to 115 subscribers.
Well, Tony's also, he says a lot with a little.
It's funny you say that, because that was when I apologized to him, that was almost his exact words. Anyway, so because of the Mestman adjacent world that we have both lived, you're cutting the whole show in Final Cut, right?
Yeah, well, that was a me decision. We also, like I said, Brad Olson, who literally directed the movie, off the tracks, about Final Cut. Like, we're both big Final Cut apologists. I just love working in it. Like I've cut in all of the 4 major sort of editing packages.
Say CapCut, iMovie. What are the other? No.
Canva. Done a lot in Canva. Yeah, no, I've cut in Anger, right? Like, I've been paid for it in all 4 of the major platforms. And Final Cut just feels the nicest and frankly, like, works the fastest.
Well, on your show, and I'm gonna brag and show off that I know your show well enough that I can not sound like a total idiot.
Okay.
First of all, I love the way it's cut. It's fast, it's snappy, it's funny, it's obviously it's emotional at times when it needs to be. But I can imagine when you are doing like you'll take a scene from a movie. I watched Good Will Hunting, okay? And so if you have the clip from Good Will Hunting, you first of all, that's your base thing. You guys each have little snippets that you're throwing in. Sometimes you do the 2-shot in the corner. Sometimes you do one guy over here, one guy over here. And then you have the little funny GIFs and things that you throw in. I don't know how you describe
all the cutaways and
the silly throwaways. Yeah. And, but all the sound bites and whatnot. And I could imagine in Final Cut, it's really easy to say, let's do this scene earlier. And you could pick that whole thing up and all the connected stuff is just going to go with it. And I don't think a lot of people really appreciate the power of that. But I would imagine in your show, that's really handy. Yeah.
Oh, it's incredibly useful. Like reordering. Well, and particularly for our show. So we actually do 2 edits of every episode. Because we have a Patreon as well. And on the Patreon, you get the extended director's cut, right? Because we're, a cinema channel. And Jono and I, you'd never guess from this conversation, I love to talk, and so does my co-host.
Right.
So we release 25-minute episodes, right around 25, 30 minutes. We almost always shoot for more than 45. And so our director's cuts are usually 10 to 12 minutes longer than our YouTube edits. And what we do is we just do a finalized, cleaned up version of the entire director's cut episode. And then between Jono and I, my co-host and I, and Trevor Horton, our lead editor, I'm sure you know Trevor, we'll just sort of mark, like, lift this scene, we don't need that. Alan's talking too long here, get rid of that. Jono repeated himself here, and we'll just have the lifts, and the editors will go in and like get to our YouTube edit in generally 5 to 10 minutes, because they can just boop, 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 and lift it all out. One other fun thing that we do. So you mentioned we have our little 2-up and then our,
your singles
characters in the corners. Yeah. That is one motion plugin that I made.
Cool. So tell me,
I'm not good at motion.
Tell me what it does.
Like, I'm adequate at best.
Tell me what it does.
So the way we do that is we'll have, in our Final Cut timeline, you have the movie clip playing underneath, and then the clip of Jono and I, and that's just our multicam clip.
Okay.
And you drop the effect onto there, and the effect scales us and moves us, but it has a bunch of different checkboxes. So you can do a 2-up on the right or the left. You can do, or top right or top left. We almost never use the top, but we can. Or we have the single for either side, top and bottom. Mm-hmm. And again, we do use the top ones, but very, very rarely, because that's usually where people's faces are in a film frame. But sometimes, like if it's an anime film, there's a bunch of closed captioning at the bottom. We have to put ourselves up the top.
There's a look that I keep as I watch your stuff. I'm like, I wonder if they ever talk about this, but I can imagine a thing where you put the close up of both of you in the corners with the bug in the center.
Sure. That's
crazy.
Probably a thing we should do.
Crazy idea, right? I did a tutorial and I made a thing about, for me, do you ever do socials and shorts and verticals?
Yeah, we do all of that as well. We can get into workflow on that. Final Cut makes that super easy.
So what I do is I take my clip, because most, like 90% of this show is what we're seeing here, the 2-up. And I take the clip and I throw it into a vertical timeline. I too made a little motion gizmo that is actually, tell me more about how your motion thing works. And then I'll show you something here.
Like in, what do you
Well,
mean?
like,
What do you want to know about it?
so you said it's a multicam of the 2 close-ups and the 2 shot. How does the motion gizmo access the different angles of the multicam?
Oh, so the motion thing, it's not seeing into the multicam. You just select your angle and then you drop it on.
Okay.
So you still have to clip up your multi-clip into like, okay, it's going to be the 2, and then it's going to be Jono, and then it's going to be Alan.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you drop your motion effect on.
So the little template that I made to make the vertical, it takes this 2 up, right? And then
okay,
I made a vertical version of it. And this file, this PNG is embedded in the motion template. And then I bring in, I overlay it over the clip that I want to make a vertical clip, because I put that into a vertical timeline. And what it does is it says, okay, well, let's crop it down, and then let's duplicate it, and then we'll position it, and then we'll crop the rest out. And it does all of that in one pass.
That's sick.
Super cool. Super, super cool.
So do you have that with like a clone layer that it's doing it?
Yeah, it takes the background layer, clones it, reposition.
Dude.
Right?
That's so smart.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, and
I love that.
And I would tell you that it was I didn't do it. I couldn't have done it by myself. I got Golner involved, but it was funny. Like I reached out to him and he was like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So you're gonna wanna," and he kind of pushed me down the right hallway, and then he's like, "Oh, I got to go to dinner." I'm like, "Okay, well, that's much more important. I'll mess around." And about an hour later, I figured it out. And so thank you, Alex, for helping me do that. I wasn't going to do that by myself, but yeah, motion. I definitely need to learn motion much better, but it makes the process of making the shorts super fun. So what do you do? Because I haven't come across your shorts. First of all, are there tricks to getting your shorts seen better? How does that work in the YouTube world?
That we exclusively have relied on the algorithm with that, and I don't know that we're super successful. I mean, a lot of our shorts are in the high 5-figure view range. We occasionally will have one that just like hits a nerve and gets 250,000, sometimes 500,000 views for a short, which is awesome. The only issue with that is you get 500,000 views on a short and you get paid $9 or something. Like the ad share is pathetic on shorts. It's really bad. But yeah, it's our workflow is we literally just take our whatever section of the episode, we'll lift that out and then just do the duplicate as vertical in Final Cut, where it'll like automatically hunt for faces and sort of align everything properly.
How does it do that on your wide shot when you guys are so far apart? What does it do?
It'll usually pick one or the other of us, and sometimes it picks the wrong one. So I would love to see that get improved, where it can like, we've got AI stuff in here now that it should be able to like, okay, here's speaking and it can see faces and one face is flapping and one is not, like pick the flappy face.
I used to tell kids all the time, I go, hey, look, directing's real easy. Moving lips in every shot, go. Like it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's not perfect, but it's generally speaking, we can clip a thing out and have it ready to go and upload. And we have vertical versions of a bunch of our like graphics and stuff that we just have to drop in. So our online editor who does that can usually prep a, 1 to 3 minute vertical out of the episode in 4 or 5 minutes per video. So we'll do 2 or 3 of them per episode, and it takes him, 20 minutes.
So I want to bounce my theory off of you. Tell me if you think I'm crazy, because I don't think I've seen this as a strategy. This is the stupidest show. I'm sorry for making people watch this. We're just talking about how to make Fenwick more popular.
Hey, Fenwick, if you want more views, none of that. None of that negative self-talk, buddy.
Okay. So what I do though is I pull about 4 or 5 shorts per 1 hour interview. I've been posting on Friday mornings, my full length interview,
Yep.
and Monday through Thursday, I post a short teasing what's coming out on Friday.
Oh.
And then in the description of the short, which most people don't even get into, there's actually a comment that says, hey, if you want a sneak peek of this interview, you could click on this link and it'll take you to the show. And I let people watch it before I've posted it live because it's unlisted.
Oh, so it's like unlisted and then you go public on Friday.
Yeah. What do you think of that theory?
Okay.
Does it spoil the show?
No. It doesn't spoil the show. So I would just flop it. What I would do is come out with your show on Friday, and then the next Monday through Thursday, I would have your shorts be from that previous episode. So that everyone who's watching it is telling the algorithm who to have watch it. And then the algorithm can use that to build data to push to whoever is going to see it, right?
So you're saying everybody who's watching the full length show, I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I might have to cut all this out of the show. Everybody who's watching the full length show is those people might want to see the short, so the algorithm will go, oh, hey, this is from the same. And how does YouTube know it comes from the same episode? Do I have to name it as such?
No, it knows.
Oh, you think it does, huh? You think it's that smart?
Oh, dude. Okay. Okay. Not only does it transcribe everything you say.
Oh, that's right. It does do that, doesn't it?
Into that, it uses image recognition to detail everything in the shot and the scene. It knows what's behind you. Like it knows there's an American flag behind you. Not only does it know there's an American flag, it knows that it's like what is that? A colonial flag?
It's a 1776. 13 stars. It's a Betsy Ross, baby.
Yeah, it's a 13-star colonial.
Or as you would say,
so
it's a Betsy Ross, baby.
It's a Betsy Ross, baby.
I watched the Ted Lasso episode. And you made that commercial for whatever it was, Rocket or something. I don't know what it was. When you did the Coach Beard line, I was like, that was very entertaining, Alan. Yeah. Thank you.
I like to lean into the stupid as much as I can. But yeah, no, the algorithm, like the AI over there reads and knows a lot of things. And obviously the more views you get, the more detailed it's going to look at your show and what it is, because then it knows more about it to push it to more people.
So you're saying if my flag back there had many more colors on it, I might have a different audience?
No, what I'm saying is you might get some, don't tread on me crowd that gets served your video because the flag is so prominent behind
it. That's what I'm saying. Right? But I'm saying if it had a rainbow of colors on it, would I have a different audience? That's what I said.
Yes. No, absolutely.
Wow.
100%.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know it looked at the picture that carefully.
I mean, look, there's no guarantee that any of those people would click on it, but it would at least
show it to them.
Attempt. It would show occasionally and test. Interesting. Right? It would put it in front of 500 and see if it gets any clicks.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you say what was the line you said, Alan? You said, I've edited in the other applications angrily. Is that what you said? How did you?
Oh, in anger.
In anger. Tell me about your experience with, I think Adobe has lost its way in a big way. So what are your experiences with Resolve? Because I just talked to Tony Gallardo, just yesterday, as a matter of fact. So it'll be the week before this episode airs. And it was great. Tony was a hardcore Final Cut user up until about 2016. Then he started messing with Fusion, and then he moved to Resolve. So you can go back and listen to that episode. It's good. It's a good episode. What are your experiences with Resolve?
I'm relatively experienced with it. I've cut. I did a couple episodes of a TV show and about half of a movie in the edit page in Resolve, and it's fine. It's fine. I find it to be day to day. It's significantly less frustrating to use than Premiere. It's just, it's the old paradigm, right? It's the track-based paradigm that I find kind of pointless.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it's less frustrating than Premiere. Can you think of reasons why?
There's some of the UI and the UX that just makes more sense to me. I don't know if it's more Apple-y in its design or what, but it's just a little less. Like Adobe has a very strong sense of Adobe-ness to it, right? And there's something about that for some people it works really well, and it clicks with the way their brain works, and that's great and good, good on you. It has always itched at me a little bit. Like I weirdly find Avid significantly closer to the way my brain works than Premiere.
Interesting.
It's just Avid, you have to do everything by, clicking the keyboard 1,000 times. And you can't ever use the mouse. It's so, and all the Avid people, all 6 of them are going to get in the comments now, like, you can use the mouse ever since version 4.5. But like, it's not built for that, right?
Ever since AVR 13.
Yeah, something. It's just something, man. It's been a long time for me
too.
With Avid. I haven't been in there.
I owned an Avid in the mid to late 90s for 3 months, and I was like, oh, this is a huge mistake. Got rid of it at a loss, and went to Media 100, and I was on Media 100 for 98, 99. I heard about this Final Cut thing, but I was 30 grand into my Media 100. I was going to get a couple more years out of it. So I didn't start using Final Cut till I think 2001 or 2.
Yeah.
That was the old one.
I didn't touch Final Cut until 2005.
Okay.
So my first version of it was like, I used 4.5 for like a week, I think, before version 5 came out. But anyway, yeah, no, Resolve, here's the thing. I've done a ton of work in Fusion. I used to work in visual effects. We were primarily a nuke house, but I'd done some Fusion stuff. And since then, I don't want to pay $3,000 a year for a nuke seat. And I paid $300 for a Fusion seat, 7 years ago, and I still have it.
Yeah.
And so I use that all the time. I end up using it inside of Resolve a lot of the time now. Obviously the color page is the industry standard for a reason. It's fantastic. I'm by no means a colorist, but like when I futz around, it all works and it's good.
Do you do all of your color for cinema therapy in Final Cut?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we basically don't leave Final Cut once we get the show in.
And it looks great.
We do all our mixing there. And look, we're not making stuff that goes out to theaters, and we don't have a delivery spec. I mean, we have an internal delivery spec for our show, but YouTube doesn't have one.
It's got to be cool, man. Unless it's cool, we don't send it out.
Yeah, no, that's it. Like, Trevor is very, very fussy, and this is why we pay him, to be fussy. But like, he's very fussy about our sound levels, to make sure that everything is crystal clear and you can hear everything on your TV or on your earbuds or, in the subway. Like, we still mostly get watched on phones.
It's funny. The other day in preparation for this, because what's interesting about cinema therapy is I could absolutely love you guys. And I find you guys, like I said, it's well cut, it's entertaining. But if I don't care about the movie, I really don't care. I just don't care. And I think that has got to somewhat fragment your audience or possibly hinder its ability to be consistent. Because like, if you hit it big with the Disney crowd or the Pixar crowd, that like, maybe I'll get those guys. But if I go too much down the superhero genre, maybe I'm going to lose the kids or whatever. Do you guys struggle with that?
We absolutely do. Yeah, the algorithm has decided in its infinite wisdom that we are a show that talks about animated movies primarily, which is why we do so much of that. I mean, we love animation, and it's led to some very cool things. Like we, get to go to the Pixar campus fairly regularly now, which is incredible. Like an incredible experience. Wonderful people there. And we're talking to some other animation studios. We have had conversations with people at all the major animation studios, which is amazing. Like I'm so lucky that has happened.
That's great.
But we also did an episode on John Carpenter's The Thing, and I really wish that had gotten seen by more people, because that was a hugely influential movie for me and still on movies. And it didn't get watched as much because the algorithm was like, well, people want you to talk about mental health and Pixar.
So
it's like, no. Horror fans also really like mental health things, probably more than animation
or
fans.
at least they might need it more.
The thing that I've learned with horror fans is, I don't know if they need it more or less than anybody else, but they're certainly more upfront about it. Like true horror fans will immediately tell you what their damage is and why they love, psychological or splatter or whatever. And they're like, it's probably because my mom this and my dad this thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, cool. And like they're super upfront about it. And they're the most like horror fans out of all the like fandoms that I've, gotten to interact with over the last 6 years, by far the sweetest, most lovely people.
Interesting.
They look terrifying.
So what episode do you think has been like the most like disappointing? Like, I thought we nailed that one. It's not getting the views. Do you have one?
It's hard to say because we're like pushing 300 now, but
wow.
We've had plenty that were very disappointing. I think the one that was the biggest sort of delta between what I thought we said and how many people it reached was, we did an episode on Terminator 2. I've been, kind of open on the show. I don't have the greatest relationship with my mom. We've
right.
patched things up and they're better, but it's still not the relationship that I wish I had with my mom. And that's just down to, we're two different people and it's just never going to be the sort of my dream mother and son relationship.
Yeah.
Right. But like obviously Terminator 2 is about Sarah Connor being the mom she thinks that she needs to be, and it really, really hurting her son.
Right.
And he's trying to find a father figure because of it. And so like deep resonance with me, and always has been, ever since I saw it when I was a kid, and I didn't even understand that that's what I was feeling.
Interesting.
And so I got very emotional, and like, it was a really resonant episode, I thought, and it just hasn't been watched very much. So
speaking of Sarah Connor, now you're touching one of my favorites, because I except for Terminator 3, which everybody universally hates, the Terminator stuff is some of my favorite. Have you ever watched the Sarah Connor Chronicles?
I loved that.
Great show, right?
Absolutely loved it.
It was interesting when you guys started the Ted Lasso episodes. You said, we don't normally do TV reasons. After doing Ted Lasso, did it get you to possibly consider doing more TV series?
We have since. So we did a bunch of episodes on The Good Place,
okay,
which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time. Also, obviously there's a lot of like moral philosophy in it, but there's a ton of it's a very relationship dynamics focused show. And so we thought there was a lot of meat there, and that did pretty well for us. And then because we're an animation channel, apparently, we did Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I had never watched before we prepped it to do for the show. And it is silly and juvenile and like childlike in all the best possible ways. But it's also a great show. And we've we've done a bunch of episodes about that show, and we'll probably continue to do more because there's so much to talk about in the however many hours, 40 hours of runtime of that show. But yeah, I mean, the reason we don't do much TV is
It's a lot to research.
The amount of prep is way higher.
Yeah, I can imagine. You know, like I could probably do a whole podcast just on The West Wing, but The West Wing was 156 episodes, and I've watched the entire series. I would say at least, and I mean every episode, at least 5 times all the way through. That's
wow. So it's like your comfort show. That you just
you know, I lived with my mother in the end of her life. I went and I stayed with her because she needed some help, and she was the one who initially got me hooked on The West Wing. And so every day we'd put the next disc in because she had them on DVDs. She had a DVD player in her bedroom, and it would run all night in her room. And she was always shocked that I could sit there while we were watching an episode and I knew exactly what each character was going to say because, you know, I'm obsessive and it's Sorkin and it's beautifully written and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But she was like, how do you know that? I go, Mom, we've watched this episode before. Oh, yeah. So, so, Sarah Connor Chronicles, fantastic. I think it's, I looked it up for you. It's 462 videos you've done. I'm looking at the stats here.
What?
Yeah. 462 videos and a very...
That's got to include some shorts or something.
I don't know how they count it. You know more about YouTube than I do.
That can't all be long form.
I don't know. And a very enviable 1.88 million subs. That's nuts.
It's really weird to think that.
By the way, for those of you,
our subscriber,
those of you that aren't into YouTube like me and Alan are, subs means subscribers. Just so everybody knows. I'm sorry, I'd cut you off.
Yeah. No, it's very weird to think that the number of people who have chosen to, you know, subscribe to my show. And I mean, it's not like it's a huge commitment. They click a button. They don't even have to watch the episodes or anything. But like the number of people who've chosen to do that would be like the 22nd largest city in the country or something.
Wow. That's a weird way of looking at it.
It's very strange to like, and because my brain is broken, generally, like anytime I travel anywhere, I'll touch down in a city and be like, well, yeah, my subs count is bigger than this city. And it doesn't feel real. Like it, yeah. Anyway, my co-host makes fun of me a lot because we do some live tours and things, and I'm constantly like, we're not gonna sell any tickets to this show, and then we'll show up and, you know, the venue will be full or close to full, and I'm always surprised every time.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, you know we have 1.8 million subs, right? And I'm like, yeah, but those aren't real people.
Apparently they are. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So in terms of Final Cut, and this has been a constant theme and part of the reason why I've done this episode, and I'm really trying to make this a positive episode because I've been super negative on them, and I apologize. I apologize to my friends.
Look, there's reasons for negativity and introspection.
Oh, I know that there's reasons for it. I'm not apologizing that I've been negative. I'm positive. I'm apologizing that there hasn't been more positivity. Apologizing that there isn't more positivity. If you could take the helm of the Final Cut team and all the stuff and all the programmers and whatnot, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you'd want to change for the software if you were in charge for the next year or two?
There's a litany of things that I'd love to do. So I'm just gonna rapid fire them, and you cut me off when you get bored.
Oh, go. Floor is yours.
We have a collaborative team, right? We have at any given time 5 or 6 editors, an online editor, a supervising editor. they're all in different places. We have a couple people in LA. We have people in Utah. We had an editor in Indiana for a minute.
Wait a second.
So
I apologize for cutting you off because I do that all the time. How many people?
Yeah, you're
how
good.
many people are working for you guys?
Oh, we only have one full-time employee, our producer.
Okay.
And then my co-host and I and my my wife is, I guess, technically a full-time employee as well. She's the lead producer of the show. She's kind of our boss,
Okay.
basically. She makes sure that the trains run on time. And then 6, 7 people on the edit staff, transcriptionist, and then 8 or 10 people in community relations. Those are all contract. So I mean, we're pushing 20.
Good Lord. Okay. So back to the rant. Collaborative workflow, people all over the country.
Collaborative workflow stuff would be great. We use PostLab, which is fine. It works fine. I can't help but think that there is a more Apple-y way to do that, right? And to give it that like streamlined ease of use that we love from Apple stuff. So that would be my number one. You know, obviously getting the roles-based mixer in, we mix our show in Final Cut. It would be incredible to have an actual mixer inside of Final Cut instead of having to, kludge it like we do.
Are you doing the create a compound clip, expose the what do they call it? Not channels, but components, the audio components.
Components.
Do you do that?
We do that sometimes. Most of the time, the show is fairly easy to just kind of mix, because we're not usually stacking a whole bunch of stuff on each other. We're not doing ambiences and music and effects and right? Like it's not a full-blown mix. It's pretty much the movie and Jono and I talking and whatever cutaways we have, and sometimes little effects here and there. So we have done the compound and the mixer, the fake mixer. But we don't usually do that on our show. But just for the more complicated stuff that we do, it would be great. And, so that's something I'd like to see, especially since apparently they've had a design for it for years and they're just not releasing it for whatever reason. I don't know. This is a rumor I've heard.
What's interesting, and you kind of just said it, you said, in regards to the collaborative workflow, you said, I'm sure there's a more Apple-y way to do it. Right? So you're using PostLab. There's got to, and I agree. The question is, does Apple care enough to tackle that problem? We've all heard the rumblings and grumblings about an audio mixer. And I was saying to, I think it was Gallardo, and I said, let's face it, we all were clamoring for, paste attributes. And when they finally gave it to us, it was fantastic and way better than it was in Final Cut 7. Same thing with I need a 3-way color wheel. I got your 3-way color wheel, and I got you HSL curves and this and this and this. Like, oh wow.
We essentially gave you everything you could want out of a color program.
And 5 things I didn't know I needed.
Right.
And so I think that might be Apple's reasoning behind the mixer. It's just a mixer and it doesn't have that magic thing. I was saying to Raphael Ledwig, I said, give me the mixer, and while you're at it, buy Waves audio plugins and throw those in.
Sure.
That'd be sweet. I mean, if you're going to throw in some motion VFX.
Well, especially since they're buying motion VFX,
exactly.
Right? It's like, okay, clearly there's at least some kind of appetite. And that's something else. Like, the motion VFX purchase, what I would love to see happen is have the motion VFX team take over motion. And it's not that the motion team at Apple is bad. I've met several of those people. They're wonderful people and they're really, really good. It's just they haven't been given leeway to do much. Yeah. I would love to see motion be a little bit stronger integrated into Final Cut. I mean, it's a very much a one-way street.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a 2-way street integration that is as good as the one-way that we have right now. And then the thing I would love to see as a visual effects compositor formerly in a former life. I'd love to see Motion VFX build a bunch of high-end compositing tools on top of the render engine that sits inside of Motion, because that render engine is light years ahead of anything that you can get with Nuke or Fusion or anything else.
Oh.
It's so much faster and more responsive.
Really? I didn't know that.
The thought of being able to do like compositing in that environment, I would kill to do that.
Okay. So what else is on your list?
I mean, those are the primary things. There's all the, all the little ticky tack stuff. Although we've gotten a lot of that over the years. I'm trying to think of what exactly I would like to see. I don't know, man. Like, honestly, it's been frustrating because we've gotten so few updates and they've been so seemingly small. But then every time I sort of step back a little ways and think about like, okay, but what am I actually using every day and how am I using it? Obviously for our YouTube show, like having a collaborative tool that's better than PostLab would be great. That being said, PostLab is not a problem for us. Like it works well. We have a system that works. It's relatively easy. And I'd love an Apple version of that that's just, unimagined leaps better than what we've got. Right. But what we have works fine. And when I've been cutting narrative stuff in Final Cut, it's still my go-to. Like, there's been 10 years essentially of Final Cut kind of sitting still while Resolve adds this, that, and the other thing. And I still want to cut in Final Cut and then hand off to Resolve for a color grade.
I said this just the other day. I said, in my opinion, Final Cut as an editing tool is still a decade ahead of Resolve and Premiere. Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
At this point, it's 2 decades ahead because they've had a decade and a half.
They've done some stuff. I'm curious about, but not curious enough to launch the app. I have Resolve because I had to get it for a job that I cut in anger, as you say. I love that.
Yep.
But I haven't really explored the cut page. I don't know. I don't have time to learn more stuff. I'll retire, but I'll retire before quite a bit older than you.
Yeah.
I'll retire before I have to learn a new edit system. But so one last question.
Sure.
And this might need some therapy actually. Maybe we got to get Jono in on this. Why do you think it is that people like you and me and Brad and Mestman and Golner and why do we care so much about this stupid piece of software? What do you think it is?
I've actually put a lot of thought into
Can
this.
you and Jono do off the tracks?
Off the tracks? Yeah. For all six people
who will watch that episode, yes.
I've actually thought about this an awful lot because I get very emotional about this, right? Like I actively hate Adobe software, which is stupid.
It is kind of
I know
dumb,
that it's stupid,
but it's so
I
true.
shouldn't care, but I do. And like, I've put a lot of thought into like, why is this? And it's so much of how I view myself is based on what I'm able to do artistically, right? Like my job is to tell a story to you with moving pictures and sounds. And so I have to be able to, have a tool that enables me to like free my mind and use my creativity the best way I can, right? And Final Cut is the closest I've gotten to a tool that functions without me thinking about it. Like it's intuitive, right? Like I don't have to think. It just kind of does what I envision in my mind and there it is.
Yeah.
And so I suspect that for those of us who have, really bought in and drunk the Kool-Aid, it's because we have, put in the time and effort. And I get plenty of people. I have these conversations with Avid editors and with Premiere editors and with Resolve editors, who feel the exact same way. And it's because they've put enough time and effort in that they feel like this is now an extension of how I create. And you get emotionally invested in that. And that's fine. All those other editors are wrong.
So wrong. Just
because they haven't dug into Final Cut enough.
They're so wrong.
And if they would just do that, they would be right, like me.
It's a bizarre position to be in. And I tell people, oh, I have this podcast. Oh, what's it about? It's kind of about video editing, but it's really about a piece of software. And they just look at my hand, say, wow, okay. Good for you. Please walk away.
Cool. There must be a podcast for everything then. You're
there
right.
is, yeah. Okay, I don't want to keep you much longer. Thank you so much, Alan, for doing this. I really appreciate the time. Is there anything else that you thought we would or wanted to say or talk about before we cut this off?
No, man, it's your show. I'm here to just have a fun conversation with my buddy Chris. Happy to come back anytime if we want to get more technical in the weeds, talking about the software and the nitty and the gritty. That's great.
Well, let's hope
this was more.
Let's hope that in the next.
Let's hope we have a lot to talk about in the next 6 months.
Yeah, I was just going to say 6 months. Let's hope before the end of 2023, there's that magic update that everybody goes, oh, and we'll figure out how it affects your show. Thanks for being so open and candid about Cinema Therapy. If you haven't seen Cinema Therapy, I would highly recommend it. Scroll through, find a movie you like, and watch it. It's super interesting to watch these two guys, you and Jono, tear it apart. And literally, man, it's cut super well. And maybe someday
we have an excellent team.
It's really good
that works on our show. Like if you go back to the episodes I was cutting, so the first 45 episodes, they're fine. Like I did okay.
But from 46 on.
From 46 on, boy, it really takes off. It was so funny. I was talking to my co-host about like, hey, we need to bring editors on because I'm getting buried. And he's like, he was very concerned that the show wouldn't be able to live up to my edits. And I was like, dude, no. No, it's going to get so much better. And he didn't believe me until like the second edit came in from one of our editors who was just fresh out of college. Like he'd been working at the local college, like TV station, but I'd seen his stuff and he was great. And his first edit, Jono turned and looked at me and was like, yeah, you were right. He's better than you.
That's funny. That's super funny. All right, let's cut this off. Thanks again. And this is, I think this is going to be episode, I don't know, I won't say because I'll be wrong, but we'll be back. We'll have more. And thanks for listening, man. I appreciate it.
I'm glad that the grill is back.
Awesome. All right.
It's been a long time. I've missed the show.
Yeah. I think I was dark for like 9 years or something. And
that's all right. That's about the same amount of time that Apple didn't update. So